Hey there, Outlaw. Welcome back. Oh, I see that you pick a classic creepypasta jump. That one is an old one, but it's still a good one. Tell you what, I'll read it for you. Day, written by Robert Barbour Johnson. Wouldn't be staying in this here canyon if I was you, mister, the old man said. I looked at him curiously. His face was strange. Why not? I asked. Is there danger? The old man spat over his beer. Some said so, he said. But danger of what? I pressed him. I didn't know you had wild animals in these parts. The old man sighed. Depends what you call animals, he said softly. Bears now and catamounts, why, they're all gone long ago. Clem Hawks, he shot the last deer more than 20 years back. But nobody ain't never shot what is in this here canyon, mister. I don't reckon nobody ever try. Best humor here, my muse. I'd heard that lunatics were violent if you crossed them. Aren't you afraid to stay here, then? I suggested. The old man grimaced at his long shadow on the grass. The sun's still up, mister, he said. Long as it's light, there's no safer place in these mountains than Dead Man's Canyon. It's only after dark that they come out. Some say the sun hurts their eyes, but I say it's holy writ that they only got power in the night. The pestilence that walketh in darkness, mister. That's what the writ says. And anywho, they don't never come out. That's why no one knows what they look like. I lit a cigarette. The trembling of my hands annoyed me. Altitude, of course. I wasn't being taken in by this old nut with his wild story. If you don't know what these things look like, I sought to reason with him. How do you know they're here? The old man spat. How did I know the moon's over beyond them hills? His voice in tone. I can see it, can I? But I know it's there. It'll come up when the sun goes down. And they come out. They'll come out like they done the night Roy Timmons got lost here. We found Roy in the morning, what there was left of him. Over on that slab yonder. I looked at the slab. It was huge and dark, with a dark suggestion of having been quarried. An altar that was what it looked like, some sort of prehistoric stone altar, set against the background of the towering trees and slope. Then there was little Sue, the old man went on. We never dare let Sue's mother know what shape we found her in. We buried her over there under the trees. Told everybody we hadn't located her. Her mother still believing that the kid will come back home. Sometimes, to see her sitting there and hoping, why, just break your heart, mister. She mustn't never know. I looked apprehensively at the sun. It was very near the horizon. 6 o'clock it must be. I decided, or perhaps near 7. But the month was July. The days will be very long. Oh, they're in here all right, the old man droned on. Why, we've seen their footprints lots of times. The funniest footprints, like a little baby's. And Mike Collins, him that has that farm over there on the hill. He's heard them hollering, carrying on in the night, and seen lights flicker around the slab until dawn sometimes. He had a couple of big dogs, and he sick them into the canyon to see if they catch anything. But the dogs never come back, and Mike never found no trace of neither one. His voice trailed off. Getting along towards sundown, mister. He began again after a pause. Don't you reckon you better be heading towards town? But you? I pressed him. I had some vague idea of getting him to an alienist. You can stay here long. You better come with me. We'll be safer together, you know? The old man chuckled sadly. Don't do no worrying about me, mister, he said. I'm nearly always here. Come sundown, of course, I'll head for your road down there yonder. I got to wait until the last minute, though. Maybe you ain't the only feller that'll come through here. I said, You mean you stay here every day to warn people off? You're sort of sentinel? The old man nodded. Me and old Sam Timmons changes off, he told me. Sam was Roy Timmons' dad. At first he tried putting up signs, but they took him down. Maybe they can read or writing, mister, but they must have known somehow what them signs said. So now we just stay here ourselves. They can do us no harm, except sometimes they shuck a few rocks long about sundown. He broke off. A stone wang into a tree, grazed off and fell into a bush. I looked about for the drawer, but there was nothing inside except the green walls of underbrush. See that, mister? The old man tutted. That means they're mad. He raised his gun and fired both barrels in the air. Strange echoes awoke in the still air. That'll stop 'em, he said proudly. They don't like guns and shooting. It scares them. Of course, they're extra bold now, 'cause it's getting along towards the time of the full moon. Then they'll come out to dance around the old slab, and you'll see the lights flickering in, hear 'em holler until near dawn. But, mister, you better be getting out here while there's time. Don't worry none about the old man. Some of the boys from Thunderlow's come to fetch me if I don't show up right on time. I left him reloading his gun. He was staring into the deepening shadows on the canyon wall, and his face was drawn and pale. If only I could get one good shot at them, I heard him mutter. The day was longer than I had thought it. The pathway was steep and ill-defined. The underbrush caught at my boots. I hurried along as fast as I dared. My imagination was busy with every rustle and crack of breaking twigs. As the shadows lengthened, I became sure that something followed me unseen. I was running and panting for breath as I came out onto the welcome asphalt of the road that led to town. I rested there for a moment before going on, thankful for the glare of lights and the familiar sound of rushing motors. As I did so, one of the cars drew abreast of me and halted. See any of an old feller with a gun? His driver queried. I made out 3 other men in the vehicle. Yes, I said slowly. I did. Back there in the canyon, I bet, the driver said. That's where we pick 'em up every night nearly. Did he warn you about anything, mister? He did, I admitted. That's all Collins' weakness, the driver nodded. I reckon it's only natural, seeing as his granddaughter got killed there only last year. Reckon he got to putting 2 and 2 together with old Timmons and they figure out this day business. They're both harmless enough, though, long as we let 'em guard that there canyon. Then there's nothing dangerous in there? I asked slowly. Dangerous? Why, mister, what could there be? This here is a civilized country, ain't it? The driver slid his car into gear. Well, good night, sir. Well, go get that old feller now. Good night. It wasn't until some time later that I began to wonder why every man in that car should have been carrying a rifle, or why their faces were white and sad as the old man's face had been. Then one day I read in a newspaper about a certain Samuel B. Timmons, age 87, who had been crushed by a falling boulder and unrecognizably mangled. It was an accident, of course, so the paper said. That man's canyon is still there. If anyone cares to make a further investigation, for my part. And that's today's story, Outlaw. This is a classic I've been meaning to narrate before. I've done it before. When my equipment wasn't this good and my editing wasn't that great either. I went all out, especially with the old man. Ooh, his voice was really rough back then. Rougher than it is now. But it was fun. Sadly, that recording went missing. I cannot find it for the life of me, so I have to re-record it, and it actually ended up coming out to be less time than before. Before it was about 30 minutes because I kept tripping on words here and there. And that's what happens when you don't read a story a couple times. A fellow narrator did advise me to read a story about 4 times. That way, the narration becomes natural. But at the same time, if I like a story, I want to read it in one go and do the impressions right there and then. That's the way that I like doing things, because if I read it over and over, I get bored of the story. I myself will get bored, and I don't like narrating stuff that will make me bored. If it makes me bored, it will make you even more bored, and you won't even bother hearing the whole thing, or at least even 5 minutes of it. So, go ahead and give it a listen. Let me know your thoughts of the story. Was the old man really a sentinel that just stayed there warning people and that guy was saved by it? Or was that old man alive and then died after he left? So that's what gets me going on this story. I wonder which one of the two is true. Because if he became a sentinel, he must have become a sentinel due to the fact that he wants to avenge his. He wants not avenge. He wants to not have another accident like his granddaughter that got taken away by they. Sadly, we don't get to hear what they are. But there's another story that I plan on doing that may go more into they. Then author of the story uses that term again, describing them as they, and if all this happens on the same universe and timeline, oh boy, this is messed up. Well, that's it, Outlaw. Go ahead and leave a comment and a like and subscribe. What are you waiting for? And like always, I see y'all on the wasteland.